Hello guys, my name is Angel and welcome back to a new episode of Dev++. Today we're going to be talking about effective code and a specific pattern that I really like and enjoy to use every day, which I call return early pattern, right? This is a very common pattern for writing functions and method in order to write the code better, right? So the return early pattern is a way to reduce the complexity of your code by reducing the number of nested blocks and conditionals that you do in your body, right? We're gonna see some examples, after I explain, right? This pattern reduces complexity by evaluating simple cases first and returning early in the condition if the conditions are met, right? This way you can avoid nesting the rest of your code with a bunch of if and else and other complex conditions, right? You should see this every day, right? If you're coding, doing permissions or data validations and things like, if this is null, then return or throw errors and stuff like that. And that's basically what this is applied to, every part of your function, right? Not only validations and permissions, right? Again, just a brief justification on why is this. First of all, the return early pattern forces you to first consider exceptional situations or error conditions in your functions. Edge cases, null values, zero values, or zero-ish or false-ish type of values, right? It reduces the visual noise on the code because, if you're building a function that is considering many more use cases, it probably will look weird and rare to have all these conditions nested there. As opposed to, pulling some simple use cases, and basically reducing the reading of the function, right? Of course, reduce the complexity of conditionals. Instead of doing a bunch of if else, you reduce that in your code. And of course, by doing that, you increase readability by, excluding error and edge conditions, right? Specifically for debugging, complex parts of the functions, right? So a couple of examples, right? This is a Python example. So instead of doing this, if you can see here, the function is valid string. If you can see here how we are nesting different if conditions and doing an else at the beginning. And by the way, I'm a else hater. I normally don't use else. I take an else as a signal of, a possible error or an opportunity to simplify the code. So we have a bunch of if nested here. If we see a similar function on JavaScript, you can see how this looks like with all the the symbols and the indentation, right? When you start like validating, doing stuff, and they'll indent your code. That doesn't really look really nice, right? If we take an example of a React, a very simple React component, right, where you have a ternary operator, based on a variable in order to render one object of the other one, right? Instead, this is a enhanced version using or enforcing this return early pattern, where you can see here on Python, right? If you have a text which is none, just simply do a return early. Or if you have a couple of conditions that also are false, just return false, and at the end just return true. If you can see here, we get rid of the else, right? Exactly as I was trying to explain. Normally an else signals like, at least for me, for my style, for my code style, it signals that something is off or something can be done to improve what we're doing, right? Same thing here with JavaScript with is divisible by function. A couple of edge cases, we take in consideration, and at the end we do the complex function. It's a very simple function, but it follows this pattern. Same thing with the React component, right? If we are evaluating whether to do something here, we just return a loading, right? Instead of putting all that validation and all those conditionals in one single place, that looks a little bit weird, right? As you can see, you clean the code, and now you have the visibility of debugging or just reading the code overall, right? So hope you enjoyed this content, guy. This is it for this video. If you like it, make sure to hit the like button, put any comments if you agree or not with this content, and make sure to share this with someone that you think they could be it could be beneficial to look at this video. So see you next time.